Just before I get started, I just want to see, since we're going to talk about investment landscape, anyone who has raised money, raise a hand. Anyone who plans on raising money this year, raise a hand. Okay, so it's a relevant topic. Okay, so I hope you have heard of LVP, but if not, just a little bit about me. I used to be an investment banker, worked with a lot of game companies, getting together with a couple of my clients to help set up LVP. Advise a lot of game companies. I'm a personal shareholder in some game companies, and I'm also a shareholder in Playhubs, which is a co-working space in Somerset House, which is just over a mile away from here, that we set up about a year ago. LVP is a seed fund. We're focused on the seed stage sector for startup game companies, and we're focused on Europe. We have done deals in the US. We've done 2. We'll do more, but our focus is really on Europe, because that's where we are. These are the companies that we have invested in, and we are continuing to invest in more. We're fortunate to be in Supercell, also in Unity, both of which are doing extremely well. Supercell, just to sort of give you sort of a quick history on that a lot of people may not realize, is the company was started June 2010. They raised their first seed funding in October 2010, which we participated in. They raised a Series A just a few months later with Accel Partners. And we had originally invested in a company that was going to do sort of high-quality browser games and pivoted to mobile. They launched, all the games that went on to be very successful. There was various liquidity events. They did almost $2 billion in revenue in 2014, and we were fortunate enough to sell the rest of our stake to SoftBank when they bought out all the financial investors last year. So I'm going to talk just quickly about some of the key trends in the mobile game sector that we're seeing. So yes, it's getting bigger. You can go back 30 years and the whole game sector has just gradually got bigger. Every year has this sort of different growth spurt or not so big growth spurt, but it's just continuing to get bigger. And mobile games is the fastest growing area. Mobile. It's a really interesting topic I'm not going to spend that much time on. Vainglory, there are lots of people who are excited about it, and there's lots of people who are not so excited about it. And some people think mobile can happen, and some people don't believe it can happen. But I think Supercell's basically beta launch of Clash Royale, I think, has surprised a lot of people because it's monetizing like crazy. So I think mobile will work, but it just has to be done in a way that it will work in mobile. So let's see what happens, but I think there's a lot of exciting things to come, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when Clash Royale actually goes global. Mobile game live streaming. I think there's a lot of things happening in this area. I don't think there's much money necessarily being generated, but there's lots of people watching people playing games or watching their streams. So you got Mob Crush in California, you got Camcorp, who's also in California, but primarily focused in Asia now. YouTube is trying to do everything global. And then there's a company in China called Shu TV, which a lot of people may not be familiar with. He's raised peanuts in terms of capital compared to the rest of those companies, and they've got tens of millions of users in China. I think you're going to see a lot more innovation and things happening here because if anything you've seen with what's happened with Twitch on PC, the mass market may not necessarily be playing games, but they want to watch it. And there's just huge viewing community. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Mobile eSports. Vainglory, I think, is sort of leading the way with this, is what they've done with their various leagues and tournaments that are going on around the world. They've actually partnered with one of the sort of leading game TV channels companies in Korea. And I think they've done a lot of really smart things. Hearthstone has got some leagues, and I'm sure there's some others that are starting to grow in. And I think you're going to see more on that because people want to play in teams, people want to watch this, and I mean, eSports in general is just growing. Those are some of the key ones. I mean, there's more, but I'm not going to spend time on that. So why is Europe great? Well, guess what? Europe has more people overall than all the US. Europe has more smartphones active than the US. So in terms of number of people you can reach for mobile games, there's a bigger community. That said, I do think revenue is probably bigger in the US currently. But there's some more things to think about. So this is a chart that we did based on some research that we did late last year. So we went back the last 3 years and we looked at all the acquisitions that had been done or IPOs and just looked at sort of pure value creation. And Europe was the best performing market. So this is surprising because you look at sort of any sort of VC-backed tech sector, US is sort of leading the way in terms of value creation. And the game business is different. This is something that we've been believing for a long time, is that there's a huge amount of talent in Europe. There was never enough capital. But there's a lot of different things to sort of think about there. So value creation and returns are better in Europe because people do more with less here. The salaries are probably less than half in general across Europe than they are in Silicon Valley. Yes, there's not as much capital here, but people just sort of tend to make it work. And guess what? Value creation has been 4 times more than the U.S. So for European game companies, this is something that you should show investors. So. This is something that a lot of people don't know, and we've never shown them this data before, and I'm not going to show the detail behind it, but basically, if you were to look at Europe as a whole and look at the value of games, the revenue games that are being made here, but revenue is being generated overseas, and the value of games that are being played here that are not made in Europe, and that's how you sort of work at it. Exports versus imports, and are you a net exporter? It's sort of like economics in a sense. But basically, Europe is exporting way more mobile games revenue than it is importing mobile game revenue. And so it's the only one that's a net exporter. So US imports way more games, Asia, and Asia doesn't export very much, and it has a massive domestic market. But if you look at the top charts and in some of the key markets in China, Japan, and Korea, guess what? Most of them are domestic games for the domestic market. When you look at it on a revenue basis, Europe is trailing behind Asia and US overall. But if you look at it on a per capita basis, just in terms of sort of exports per capita, Europe is leading the way. So I just think, we're doing a good job here, so you should share that news with people. And when you look at it just from a sort of pure tech standpoint, there's a lot of developers in Europe. You've got some key hubs around the different parts of Europe, and we've got more mobile developers here. I just think, mobile centric, you look back to sort of the beginnings of Nokia and what's happened in the Nordic area. I mean, it's just, everyone thinks mobile there. So if we look outside of Europe, and this isn't just mobile, this is just sort of all game companies in general. Who are the biggest game companies that are public with market cap? And this is the list. I think just on that list, you're looking at probably almost 300 billion in public market cap. Tencent is the whale in the room. So Asia as a whole, it has the biggest overall market cap concentration because there's just a lot more public companies there, and it's got Tencent. And it also has the most revenue, again, driven by Tencent. And there's just been a lot more happened over the years, driven by online, but growing more so with mobile in Japan. So here's the largest Japanese company by market cap. So the orange ones are non-mobile, the black ones are mobile. And this is the biggest ones. There's probably another 40 or 50 public companies that are not on this list that are public. I mean, Japan is a very unique market for a whole lot of reasons. This is the Chinese slide. Again, there are probably another 20 or 30 companies on here that are not on this list that are public. Mind you, China's all over the place with what's happening in the stock markets and the economy over there. But the game companies, performance-wise, are doing extremely well, just in terms of sort of revenue and profits. Let's see what happens with our market caps. And then we've got Korea. It's Nexon, NCSoft, and then the mobile one is Gaming will come to us, which is just doing mobile. So just going back. So what I didn't say is that all those companies on the list is mobile is probably the area of most interest right now in terms of where they're spending their time, in terms of new games that they want to develop, new games they want to publish, companies they want to buy, companies they want to invest in. And you're going to start seeing a wave of companies in Asia spending a lot more time here, if you're not already seeing it already. Because they've got huge pockets of money to spend, and they're very serious. So this is an interesting chart. It's actually the top 6 M&A deals. 2 of them are mobile. One is the SoftBank Supercell deal, and the other one's the Activision King deal. The valuations are massive. They are generating massive revenues. What does that mean for the sector? I think it's a great thing for lots of reasons. It sort of validates mobile is a great place to be, can generate great returns. But more importantly is that capital is likely to get reinvested into the game sector, at least parts of it anyways. So who invests in the game industry in Europe? Well, there's us, LVP, there's Initial Capital, the ex-Playfish founders, there's also Chris Lee. I'd say those are the leaders. There's a whole bunch of others doing the odd deal here and there. And then just sort of broadly across Europe, these are some of the more active firms with DN, Axel, Creandum, Norzone, Index. Yes, there's a lot more VC firms who may have done 1 or 2 deals. These are the ones that have just been a bit more active. That's it. Just one thing I just wanted to say is that if you are planning on raising money this year, things have changed. In case you haven't been following the stock markets, the oil prices, real estate markets. The news is coming out of Silicon Valley and reality's kicking in. It's going from unicorns to unicollapse. So just manage your expectations because things may take longer, valuations may not be what you're expecting, and raising larger amounts of money is just going to get more difficult. And some investors may just be investing less. It's not the end of the world, but it's just, just a bit of reality's kicked in because there has been a bit too much hype. Thank you.
Okay.